What is up, and welcome to an emergency edition of the Bruin Bible. We got Ryan Dyrud in the house from LAFB, the founder and owner. What is going on, my brother?
It seems like every show is an emergency now with everything going on with UCLA, but we finally got a good emergency tonight. Excited to get into it. Will, thanks for having me.
We've had quite a few in the last month. I think we're counting. It's been 4 or 5 at least with the emergency pods. The news just not stopped rolling in for UCLA football. Below Ryan, we got the madman himself. He is with me on the Draft is in Session pod and a regular on the Bruin Bible. My main man, Jamal Madni. What's going on, Mad Dog?
Will the thrill. Great to be here as always.
Well, to summarize it, DTR tweeted this out. The Terminator is back. Zach Charbonnet returning to UCLA for his senior season. A move I did not expect, given what the running back position means and how they deteriorate, over a short period of time. Charbonnet, just a gifted runner to say the least. 202 carries, 1,000+ yards, 5.6 yards a carry, and 13 touchdowns last year. You look at the list of running backs we've had in recent years, Jonathan Franklin, Paul Perkins, Joshua Kelly, Demetric Felton. This guy is more talented, in my opinion, than all those guys, maybe even combined. Charbonnet is a freak of nature. Ryan, where were you when you found out that Charbonnet was returning, and how psyched should UCLA fans be about this?
I was feeding my daughter, and I about flipped her bowl over when I got the update. Just because, did not expect it at all, Will. It's one of those, and I don't want to say this in a bad way, but I don't know if it's the smartest business decision for him being at the running back position, like you mentioned. This guy was going to be a second, third round top minimum draft pick this year. I think he's one of the most talented backs in the draft, but I just don't know how well known, how recognized he would be around the country outside of maybe the West Coast. Obviously, NFL teams do their homework and stuff like that. But so it tells me two things. Either one, he thinks coming back can help him maybe get into that first round, and then there's more guaranteed dollars, and the running back shelf life, is a lot shorter in the NFL. So running backs really bank on that first contract. And if he can be a first round running back, then there's a lot more money at the front end. So maybe he's thinking that. Or two, he just really believes in this program and this team. And he says, you know what? I know I'm going to get to the NFL one day. I know I'm going to make a bunch of money there. I want to compete for a Pac-12 title, though. And the job's not done yet, unfinished business. And so, I think, I don't know, haven't spoken to him yet. Hopefully we can get him on one of our shows here soon in the off season. I think that's the goal. But it's one of those, it's a good day to be a Bruin fan because this guy is far and away the most talented running back in the Pac-12. He might be the most talented running back going into the season next year, period. He might be a Heisman candidate because you look at his statistics, Will, and many, I don't know if they have, he finished somewhere in in the 20s for actually yards. But when you just look at the yards per carry, the production he had with the little, the first 4 to 5 games of the season, he averaged 9 to 11 carries a game, and he was still getting over 100 yards. So now if he can be the workhorse back, it's a good thing for Bruin. It's a good thing for DTR. It's a good thing for Chip Kelly, which we'll get into, and it's a good thing for this offense. So it's super exciting, and I couldn't be more thrilled for this program today.
And Ryan, I actually looked up the Heisman odds for Charbonnet coming back. Our buddy Sam Connon at Fan Nation All Bruins said that Charbonnet ranks as the 39th best odds for next season, a plus 8,000 bet right there going into next year. I think I'm going to put a little $20-$50 on that. Who knows what's going to happen with that? Our guy Charbonnet was insane.
When Derrick Henry won Heisman, what did he rush for 2,000 yards?
He did, yeah.
Okay, so that's probably the goal then for Charbonnet to get. Charbonnet finished, I think, this year for what? He finished like around 1,100, I think.
1,200, yeah, a little south of 12.
With very limited carries. So it's not out of the realm of possibility.
202 carries, average 5.6 yards a carry, but you have those games where, you see the 6-carry, 107-yard performance against Hawaii and the 11-carry, 117-yard performance against LSU to start the year. This dude is a freak of nature, and Jamal and I are talking about guys in draft that just explode with the measurables in different areas. This running back is 6'1", 220, and may have the quickest feet on the field and the strongest legs probably since Marshawn Lynch toting the rock in the NFL. Charbonnet, he's not going to go to the NFL, and that, I worry about his future there. But a good thing now is the NIL. He can make money at the college level, and he's definitely going to be the face of the program for UCLA with DTR next year. So a lot of money will be coming his way, thankfully, over the table. Madman, I want to get your take. I know we were hyped today. I gave you a phone call. We were so excited about Charbonnet coming back. Give me your thoughts on Charbonnet returning to Westwood and how much of a home run this is.
Yeah, Will, this is so shocking that, I had him penciled to the NFL for all the reasons that you and Ryan have laid out. The average NFL lifespan is 4 years. When your stock is as high as Charbonnet's is at the collegiate level, you feel like you got to sort of cash that in. But what really sort of sticks out to me is what he said via Twitter in terms of his return, and it was unfinished business. And that was actually a quote that I remember the 2012 USC team sort of had coined when they had gone 10-2 in 2011. They were on sanctions, and they all wanted to cut. Matt Barkley and that crew wanted to come back, and the whole goal there was unfinished business. It didn't work out for SC in 2012 the way they had envisioned. But what it tells me is that this kid really cares about this program and about winning and about leaving a legacy. And, for all the talk about Chip Kelly's inability to recruit, there's two pieces to interacting with talent in the college game. There's talent acquisition and there's talent development. And if he may not be the greatest talent acquirer, but what it shows is that his players really want to play for him, and they really love what he's built, and they really love what this program has built. A couple of stats that fans need to remember of why this is so significant. Number one, UCLA was 7-0 when Charbonnet ran for 100-plus yards. Wow. 1-4 when he did not. So when you want to talk about barometer of success, it is directly correlated with Charbonnet's level of productivity. And Ryan, you talk about the opportunity to get kind of near 2,000 yards. I don't think that's an unreasonable goal at all when you consider that he had to share the backfield with Britton Brown, who was at north of 700 yards this season. So when you're the feature back and you're coming in there, there's huge opportunity for Charbonnet. Will, you described it. He reminds me of Marshawn Lynch and a young Jerome Bettis, the way he's able to eat up yards. And just the yards after the contact. This is so significant today and sets the stage for success for UCLA football moving forward with a guy who genuinely wants to be there and with an outside shot at a Heisman Trophy and something really special. Everyone forgets the 4 UCLA losses outside of the Utah game with no DTR, lost the last minute to Fresno State, lost the last minute to Oregon. And even that Arizona State game, they were down 31-23. There was a 4th and 1 from the 2 at the start of that fourth quarter, where if they punch that one in, who knows how that game turns out. That's a tie game basically in the fourth quarter. Really only one game UCLA got kind of blown out and outclassed out of 12. And so when you sort of factor that in with Charbonnet's barometer, with DTR coming back, the sky's the limit next year for UCLA.
Sky is the limit indeed, and we got some extra stats for you. Charbonnet was 4th in the entire country at most forced missed tackles per attempt. That's how hard this guy is to bring down. You want to go back and watch some crazy runs. Watch the run where he literally breaks 6 tackles. I counted them, 6 tackles against LSU in the second game of the season. And he ranks 6th overall for all running backs with expected points added when in the lineup. This guy is a game changer. One of the most shocking developments we've had at the running back position. I do want to throw this out there. Yep.
If you watch, and those listening watch, Javonte Williams in the NFL this year, former North Carolina product, similar running style, just runs with a premonition and just wants to hit people. Charbonnet, I think, has more talent than Javonte Williams because he's faster, a little bit bigger. Nothing against Javonte Williams, who was a 2nd-round pick, but I think Charbonnet can be even better. We're already working on trademarks. We're already got a design in works for the LA Football Network to pour yourself a tall glass of Charbonnet. Get ready, baby.
Oh, we're going to have Charbonnet drinks flowing this coming week when we can get out there, whenever
Ryan,
we can.
the saddest people in the football people in LA today should be the Los Angeles Rams front office, because I feel like Charbonnet is the missing piece to the Rams truly kind of completing their roster. Charbonnet to the Rams would have elevated the Rams to Super Bowl contender, because the Rams are still a little bit soft in my mind. But that's a different topic altogether. But outside of the Rams front office, everybody who's a Bruin fan and an LA football fan should be really excited about Charbonnet coming back.
He's incredible, and I don't think we might be done in the running back room. Two big names in the Pac-12 entered the transfer portal. The biggest one being Travis Dye. And we talk about Zach Charbonnet's numbers: 202 yards, 1,100 yards, 13 touchdowns, while splitting time with Britton Brown. Travis Dye's numbers: 211 carries, close to 1,300 yards, 6 yards of carries, and 6 touchdowns. Chip Kelly went from Eugene to the Rose Bowl. Why not bring Travis Dye with him? And if you can't get Travis Dye, Colorado running back Jarek Broussard, he was the 2020 Offensive Player of the Year in the Pac-12, declaring that he is in the transfer portal as well. They're probably looking in a similar area. They're not looking to venture out too far. Why not throw UCLA in there, who has been as good as anyone in the transfer portal? Jamal, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, Will, absolutely. I mean, it's just gnarly, right, with what's going on with the transfer portal. And we were talking about this earlier today, the three of us. It's sort of an interesting view of the world at this point, where until you get some form of regulation in the transfer portal of when you can enter and when you can exit, and put some semblance of rules around it, you're going to have this scenario where folks are going to be jumping in and out of it on a consistent basis. And I have a little bit of a different take on this. So much of society, if we even just kind of zoom out of football, is all about, different careers, living in different places, doing different things every few years. That seems to be kind of the Gen Z and the millennial sort of ethos. And I think the football players are starting to take light of that, of saying, instead of me being at one university for 3 or 4 years, what if I went to a different university every year for 3 or 4 years and got exposed to different geographies and cultures and coaching styles and talent pipelines? Isn't that an incredible way to sort of get prepared for professional football and for life? And so, I sort of commend the players for, feeling the empowerment and the agency to really explore the best options for them. I think Dye and Broussard are incredible prospects. I don't know if it's a great fit, though, Will. I think when you look at Charbonnet, the thumper, he's thunder. I think you want to complement him with lightning to have the ultimate duo. And I think the reality of the situation is UCLA, between Keegan Jones and Morrell, I think they actually have that lightning in the running back room already. And I think if you can put that two-headed monster together, a la old Reggie Bush and Lendale White, I think you have the lightning in a bottle, no pun intended, to really do something magical in the run game next year.
They're definitely not hurting now that Charbonnet is back. But, the two-back system is something that has really taken on in the NFL. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 backs that are the sole running back for the NFL. And maybe one of the stipulations, if Charbonnet wanted to come back, was he goes, hey, I'm down to do it. I don't want too much tread on these tires when I go to the NFL. I'm going to need some help back there. So potentially maybe there is a running back that they'd be thinking about that could complement Charbonnet. Ryan, are these two guys worth pursuing in Dye and Broussard? Because if you can get one of these guys, that's another home run you can add to the backfield.
Yeah, I agree with everything Jamal said. And, it comes down to fit and how these guys do fit. I do think that Travis Dye, adds a different complex than what we've seen the Bruins. Obviously, Jamal mentioned some of the other pieces the Bruins already have on the roster that can kind of fill that void. But Troy Dye has the production to prove for it. And I mean, he scored 4 touchdowns against UCLA in that game. So, and one thing I'll leave you with on that is he's from Norco, excuse me, right by Corona, California. So, a local kid in the Southern California area. So he may be looking to come home, who knows, and play for the SoCal team. And if UCLA obviously has really utilized, we talked last episode, how impressive they've been in this transfer portal. So I think they're, like Jamal said, I think they're okay. They're good where they're at right now, but it certainly wouldn't hurt bringing a guy in like Troy Dye, who has the production, who can do stuff out of the backfield that's a little different than what Charbonnet does. For a guy that wears no gloves, is as sure-handed as they come. So I see why not. And he's a local kid, so he may be thinking the same thing.
And Dye brings that different element. 46 catches for 402 yards last season for Oregon. And I'll go ahead and say it. If Travis Dye decides he wants to go to UCLA, that's the best running back tandem Los Angeles has seen since White and Bush for USC, hands down. Final thing we got to discuss, gentlemen. A little guy by the name of Chip Kelly got re-signed today to a 4-year deal, $4.7 million per season, taking a little bit of a pay cut. This is the guy we wanted all along. We do believe the Azanaro resignation was a stipulation of the new contract that he had to sign there. He had to part ways with him. But overall, this is the guy we wanted. 0 to 10, how big is this, Ryan, for Chip Kelly to come back to UCLA?
I think it's a 10 at this point. I mean, at this point in where we are in the year, in January, anything without Chip would have just set this program back. And then, we talked about a little bit, I think it was 2 episodes ago, about, his style of recruiting, or lack thereof, if you will. It may have not been horrible to not get an extension going into this year. Like, usually the lame duck coach is a very bad situation, but we said maybe it wouldn't be as bad, but it certainly helps having the extension there, your players knowing you're going to be there for the long term. For the guys he is recruiting or has been recruiting, they can kind of take a breath and say, okay, that's where I wanted to go. I just didn't know if the guy recruiting me was going to be there. Now they see he is going to be there for the next 5 years. So in terms of that, it's big. And it's in terms of just what they've built and keeping the continuity there. I mean, one of the top offenses, not just in the Pac-12, but in the country, having Charbonnet come back, DTR come back. So you get, these key pieces you can run it back with and get this offense still going. And then now it's up to him to make a great defensive coordinator hire. And if he does that, and I talked on my show last night, if you can get this Bruins defense even into the top 60 in the country, look out. I mean, this is a much more complete team. And if they can go better than that, then they're going to be a real dynamic team, not just for next year, but for many, many years to come. So, it's a 10 getting him back. I know Bruin Nation is still somewhat, I wouldn't say split anymore, but I think there's still a good quarter of the fan base that wanted them to move on. But for those of you, if you are listening, this is better for their program right now, for sure. And, if things go south in a year or two, then we can readdress. But for where it is right now, 8 wins, getting Charbonnet back, getting DTR back, this is a 9 to 10 win team. And you don't have that if you start over with a new coach. It's just, that's the facts. So a great slam dunk move, and we're glad they got it done.
And this could be the season with DTR coming back, Charbonnet coming back, Chip in the fold, where we could be smelling roses for the first time. And I just want to say this, with Chip's rushing team numbers since he's taken over, this shows you how much of an offensive genius he is. From 2018 to 2021, the rushing attack in terms of ranking nationally went from 77th to 71st to 12th to this year being number 10 in the country. He has taken that rushing offense to a new level in Westwood. Chip Kelly is a boss. Madman, I got to hear your take. It's got to be a 10, right? Chip Kelly coming back is big business for the Bruins.
Will, I'll surprise you a little bit. It's not a 10 for me.
Oh,
it's an 11. Okay. I mean, that's what, Chip Kelly coming back is the absolute perfect person for this job. The combination of innovation, thinking differently in a very unique situation and place that is UCLA football. And for all of the fans, again, that are still a little bit lukewarm on Chip, I challenge you to sit down with a clear mind, take 10 minutes out of your day, open up a Rolodex, a piece of paper, and I challenge you with a full heart and sort of an honest assessment, given where UCLA is geographically, academically, historically, in terms of the football program, name me one person that is better suited to coach UCLA football that is not going to cost $10 million a year. And I promise you that piece of paper will remain blank for the foreseeable future. He is absolutely, you are talking about the inventor of modern college football at a place that is a non-traditional power. He is the most accomplished head coach pre-UCLA that UCLA has ever had. He is the coach that in his true year 3 has taken them to 8 wins for only the 6th time in the last 23 years. For all the criticism about UCLA football this year, they were 2 wins off of the school record number of wins. UCLA's never won more than 10 games in their entire history. And so for all of those reasons, no one has ever put 62 up in the Coliseum. And guess what? Chip did it twice. Once with UCLA, once with Oregon. So he is absolutely the right guy for this job. I agree completely with Ryan. If you can even get that defense to mediocre with a defensive coach that sort of kind of understands what he's doing, let alone sort of is competent in any way, you are talking about a team that is a perennial top 25 team every year and will be threatening in the South every year. This is a home run, a huge day for UCLA football. I'm so happy for Chip. I'm so happy for Martin Jarman, because this is the first sort of accomplishment of his tenure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Mick Cronin, the basketball coach, was there before Martin. This is really the first stake in the ground of the Martin Jarman era. Kudos to Martin. Kudos to Chip. This is a great day.
Great
I'm fired
day
up.
indeed.
Woo.
We await with eager breath over who the next defensive coordinator will be. Bruin Bible, we are out. We will be back for another emergency pod. The rate these are going, we'll be back very soon. We'll keep waiting for those to come through. Don't expect a pod each and every week, but we will be very consistent. We'll try to put at least 2 to 3 out each and every month. Bruin Bible, we'll talk to you soon.